Manora hamakom hazeh. Manora hamakom hazeh. Welcome. This is a preview of an upcoming Menschwork webinar we will have on Wednesday, May 13th, 8 to 9 p.m. on a Zoom call titled Prayer. Why, how, when? My goal is to stimulate some thought and encourage you to participate in the May 13th call. Our Menschwork webinars happen every other month, and some of them are recorded to create an enduring event for people to watch later on a topic that we feel is important. This one, whether you call prayer, or whether you call it tefillah or davening, is something that when we get together at, say, a JMR retreat on our annual weekend, the members feel like it's just a highlight and it can be transformative. So what is it about our tefillah that works, and how can we make it better? And what are you looking forward to this JMR as we get together? So this webinar tries to ask you, give us your opinion on why tefillah is important, how it should happen, and when it should happen. We have online on our menschwork.org website a good reference that I think people take a few minutes to read, will stimulate some ideas. I wanted to share some of my personal answers, and that the traditional historical Jewish sources are listed on the online, and I'll briefly touch base with those as well. But you know, our Torah, when it was being offered to the people of the world, the Jewish folks said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will listen. So they would do first and try to really listen and understand later. So that's sort of as my personal experience. When I was young, my parents sent me to a Hebrew day school, Yeshiva Chafetz Chaim Talmudical Academy in Baltimore, and I was there till I was 12 years old. And then after my bar mitzvah, I still went to synagogue to honor my parents, but when I went off to college, I really wasn't very observant. And it wasn't until my late 20s when I started dating my future wife, Kathy. She was an early member of this tiny new forming Chavurah called East Bank Chavurah, and going to the Chavurah was part of the package, and I was interested in the package. So I'd go, and the first couple of times, it really seemed strange to me. It started by Rabbi Salman Schachter, and it was quite liberal. And so I, over the years, had to sort of open my horizons about what Judaism could be and how to daven in different ways. And now I'm comfortable, whether it's Reform, Conservative, or Orthodox. My home is really Jewish renewal. I really like JMR davening, and I'm hoping that other people could find that their tefillah, it takes them where they want to go. I sang Manora Hamakom Hazeh because for me, inspiring awe is really why I daven. And how do I define awe? Well, one of the best translations I find is by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who says, awe is more than an emotion. It's a way of understanding. Awe is itself an act of insight into a meaning greater than ourselves. Awe is a way of being in rapport with the mystery of all reality. So there's individual prayer where you would cultivate your connections, and then communal. Of course, some prayers are only supposedly be able to be done communally, like Baruch Hu and Kaddish. And now in this time where we're not able to join in groups, it's been kind of interesting. I've been on a Zoom call and the talented leader ready to get to the Baruch Hu and says, let's see where everybody is in the on the call, and the 20 people, so-and-so from Canada, California, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York. It's really quite powerful to come together as a community. So that's an interesting energy that I think I've appreciated a little bit more. But my individual prayers, I don't get into communal settings as often as sort of been my morning stretches and physical stuff. I like the davenings of the sayings of all my bones shall proclaim, the chorus shall echo. So sounds and music and movement, and just sort of consciousness raising, a sense of awe is why I do it. And how I do it, as I mentioned, is mostly individually, but I like being in a variety of groups. And what time do I do it? Well, our little Siddur that my Chavra started to use is Siddur Eitz Ratzon. You can see it right here. And Joseph Rosenstein wrote it. Eitz Ratzon is translated is the right time for prayer, and his answer for the right time is every moment is the right time for prayer. So where did our prayers come from? Because, we have Siddurs now, but if you look at the reference I sent you, the tradition is that it actually comes from our Torah, where we say it in the Shema, that in Devarim, in the Shema, there is the passage, Lehava et Adonai Elehechem, ulvado b'chol levavchem. To love Adonai your God, and to serve God with all your heart. So the Talmud says, serve God with all your heart. How do you do that? And the answer they give is tefillah. Now, Maimonides will point out that before the Siddurim were written in the middle century, 6th, 7th century, it was an obligation of all Jewish people to write their own prayers. But now we have Siddurs, and there are new Siddurs coming out each year. So I sort of told you which Siddurs that I sort of like, but I also told you that cultivating a sense of awe is really what I can just do on my own without a Siddur. And it's my blessing for you. Now, hopefully you can read the reference. You can give some thought to what you'd like to share about your answers to the question of why, how, and when. And I want to just leave you with one blessing. In reading about prayer from different places, the question is, does it have to be in Hebrew? And the answer that's most often given is no, it can be in any language. But there is an exception, and the one prayer that people seem to all say needs to be in Hebrew, and that prayer is the Birchat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. So I'm going to leave you with a blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yireh Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.